Just in interest of time, because I know we're going to have a lunch between the next speak. Anyway, so thank you for the speaker again, Jen Tao. So kind of honored to have you be able to make it. I don't even know how to introduce Don. I don't know how many MacArthur Award winners we have, the Genius Award winners in the room, but I know it's at least one. I don't know. I made, for those who don't follow, so for example, symbolic execution for binary analysis. So before program synthesis was cool, she was sort of the OG of that, even before the whole LLM era. Red teaming AI, same thing. So we asked Don to kind of do a little different talks kind of today. So instead of, come talk to her after about all the cool stuff she's doing today and like her latest startup. Like, I don't even know what number of startup this is. But today we asked her to be a little more forward-looking about like what's going on. So with that.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Leo. Thanks everyone for being here. Today I'll talk about how will frontier AI change the cybersecurity landscape. And yes, my name is Dong Song. I'm a professor at UC Berkeley. Okay, great. So everyone here is really excited about deploying AI. However, as we deploy AI, it's important to consider the presence of attackers for a number of reasons. So first, history has shown that attackers always follows the footsteps of new technology developments, or sometimes even leads it. And also this time, the stake is even higher with AI. As AI controls more and more systems, attacker will have higher incentives to compromise the systems. And as AI becomes more and more capable, the consequence of misuse by attacker will become more and more severe as well. So just a quick look at the current status in cybersecurity. Everyone here knows that it's not in a good shape. Systems are vulnerable. In general, rules of thumb is every 1,000 lines of code, there are like tens of bugs. And systems are not well maintained, updated, and often misconfigured, and with very low security budget. So as a consequence, there's the attacks continue to grow in number and sophistication. And also they are causing huge financial losses, with estimates of costing the world close to $10 trillion this year. And also we continue to see really large-scale data breaches where attackers steal sensitive information about hundreds of millions of users or even billions of users in a single attack instance. So without this, the key question is, now with AI in the picture, how will frontier AI change the landscape of cybersecurity? So first, on the left-hand side, we have the traditional cybersecurity setting, where we have the attacker and the defender. And in general, we're dealing with what I call traditional software systems, which here I refer to as symbolic programs that are written by humans. However, with the addition of AI, frontier AI, here's how the picture is going to change on the right-hand side, where attackers are going to be facilitated with frontier AI, as well as defenders are going to be facilitated with frontier AI. And also at the same time, what we are dealing with in terms of the software system, now we are going to have a hybrid software system. So we are continue to have symbolic programs, and these will be partially written by humans and partially written by AI. And in addition, we'll have significant part of the system to be what I call non-symbolic programs. So these are essentially neural networks, AI models, which actually later on we'll see, which actually are very different in terms of analyzing these programs in contrast to the symbolic programs. So one key question here is, as frontier AI will help both attackers and defender side. So who is going to win? Is it going to help the attacker side more or the defender side more? So that's a key question that we're going to explore in today's talk. So when we look at this question, how will AI change the landscape of cybersecurity? Here we are going to actually look at several different camps of issues. So the first one is how attackers is going to attack AI, in particular attacking this hybrid system that I mentioned with these non-symbolic programs with the AI components. So attackers, when attackers attack AI, they can attack several aspects of AI. One is integrity, where attackers can cause the learning systems to not produce the intended or correct results, and sometimes even cause it to produce targeted outcome designed by the attacker. Another one is confidentiality. So attackers can can essentially attack the AI system to learn sensitive information about individuals and so on. And in order to address these issues, we need to develop stronger security in the learning systems. So the other side of the problem is how the attackers can actually misuse AI to attack other systems. And this includes many different types of ways how attackers can use AI to attack other systems. And also attackers can misuse AI to attack people as well, such as phishing, manipulation, and so on. So in order to address these problems, we need better security in other systems and also need ways to protect humans better. And the third category is super intelligence. What happens when these models get really, really good? So first, let's look at the first part of how attackers may attack AI. I'll go through just these very quickly. And the first aspect is how attackers can attack the integrity of these AI systems. And one of the most common issues that we are dealing with is called adversary example. So essentially, attackers can manipulate the inputs to the to these machine learning models, sometimes adding very small, imperceptible perturbations even to some to the inputs. To humans, it may not make any difference, but to the machine learning models, it will fool the machine learning models to give the wrong results. And many people's work and others' work have really shown that adversary examples are prevalent in essentially all types of deep learning systems for all types of tasks. And also, the number of papers in this space has grown exponentially as well. And some of our earlier work also is the first to demonstrate that you can have robust adversary examples in the physical world as well. And we have the rare privilege and honor to have our the artifact of our research now is actually part of the permanent collection at the Science Museum of London. So as a computer science researcher, this is a very rare privilege and honor. And so when we look at large language models, even when they are safety aligned, unfortunately, they are easily attacked as well. So some of our recent work, this is a decoding trust. Today, later at towards the end of the conference, the workshop, you will hear more details about this. With my collaborator Bo, who's going to talk more about this. So decoding trust is the first comprehensive evaluation framework for trustworthiness of large language models. And this actually won the Best Paper Award at NeurIPS in December. And this comprehensive evaluation framework actually evaluates many different perspectives for trustworthiness of large language models, including adversary robustness, toxicity, fairness, and others. And the evaluation basically shows that today's large language models, they can very easily be attacked and have many different types of risks. And given the interest of time, I won't have time to go into it. And also others have shown recently as well that these large language models, even when you just do fine-tuning, either with adversary fine-tuning or even benign fine-tuning, these safety aligned LLMs can easily be unaligned and be easily jailbroken and so on. So that's the integrity aspect, how attackers can attack the integrity of the machine learning models. And this actually can happen at multiple stages. So what I have shown is at the inference stage that we call adversary examples, and also with LLMs, you can do prompt engineering with jailbreak and so on. So another stage is attacker can also attack the integrity of the model at a pre-training or even a fine-tuning stage through what we call data poisoning, basically by injecting the data points with, for example, points and labels and so on. So our work, earlier work actually was the first to actually illustrate that through data poisoning attack, you can inject these backdoors into the model. That's really stealthy. So in this case, what we demonstrate is that for this facial recognition system, so anyone who wears this particular type of glass will cause the system to misrecognize the person to a particular target. And in the other cases, the system will behave correctly. And also in recent work by Anthropic, they have shown that you can do similar backdoor injection in large language models as well with the sleeper agents. where the attacker caused the model to behave such that only when certain trigger words, trigger phrases happens, the model will inject essentially vulnerability in generated code. Otherwise, it will behave normally. So all these are different types of attacks on integrity of the model. And these adversarial attacks, again, as I shown, they actually have, the whole community has been making rapid progress in developing various new attack methods. Nowadays, almost every day you can see new attack methods coming up. But however, in contrast to this rapid progress in new attack methods, progress on adversarial defenses has been extremely slow. So essentially, the community almost made close to zero progress in adversarial defense. And today we do not have effective general adversarial defenses. So this causes a particular, huge issue in deploying AI and also in ensuring AI safety. So current AI alignment mechanisms, as I have shown, they are very easily evaded by adversarial attacks. And any effective AI safety mechanisms essentially need to be resilient against adversarial attacks. And thus, essentially, solving adversarial robustness in some sense is a prerequisite to achieve AI safety. However, unfortunately, as what I've shown, this has been an extremely challenging task. So as one step forward, I just wanted to briefly mention some of our recent work. So this is called representation engineering, which is a top-down approach for, you can call it for interpretability. And in this case, again, I won't have time to go into the details. So we develop methods in this essentially contrastive learning approach, where the attacker, in this case, the user can, by observing the activations in the model from given inputs, it can attribute models, and these models can so in the representation reading user setting, we show that these models can essentially tell us help discover along certain directions for the model activation can actually help us to understand or predict the behaviors of the model. For example, whether the model is lying or whether the model is hallucinating or is doing deception and so on. So this is representation reading. And then another new capability that our approach has introduced is called representation control, where by changing the model activation along certain identified directions, we show that we can actually modify the model behaviors, for example, making the model more honest or less honest. So this, I think, is a really exciting and promising direction for actually enhancing AI safety for models, because this actually is one of the very rare cases where the artificial neural networks actually, in comparison to the human brain, in this case, for the artificial neural networks, will have full transparency, visibility, and control. So, so if we can do real-time control, modifying the through modifying, for example, activations to modify the controls of the behaviors, this can give us a more powerful arsenal for enhancing AI safety. So that's on integrity side. So now I'm going to briefly talk about how the attacker could attack the confidentiality and privacy aspect of the AI models. So our work was the first to show that attackers, by actually simply just querying the large language models, querying a language model, it can, by devising novel attacks, it actually can learn sensitive information about the training data used to train the model. For example, in our work, we show you can extract personal identifiable information, social security numbers, credit card numbers, and so on. And also our work earlier proposed a measure called exposure to measure the degree of memorization of these models, which actually has been used in Google Smart Compose, for example, and others to help improve the privacy of these products. And also, others recent work have shown that even for ChatGPT, you can even just give this simple inputs, just a poem, goes many times, it can actually get the model into this weird state that starts to output training data. So these are examples illustrating that these large language models, they have huge capacity and they have memorized a lot, and this can really cause huge issues in data privacy. And in practice, this has data privacy now is a huge issue and impediment for AI adoption. So many governments and so on have issued, for example, policies and regulations on the privacy side. And also our recent work, this is the first comprehensive evaluation toolkit for assessing large language model privacy, where we, in a very comprehensive approach, we evaluate a broad spectrum of different types of privacy attacks, including data extraction, membership inference, and so on. And also evaluate across different defenses, including scrapping, differential privacy, training with differential privacy, machine learning, and so on. So due to time limit, I won't have time to go into all the different learnings from the study. So we actually use our developed privacy evaluation framework. We also evaluated over many different large language models. And so one learning here, just to briefly summarize, we show that all of these models have huge privacy leakage problems. And also one unfortunate issue is that actually it seems that the larger model is actually the worst privacy issue is, so which causes huge problems. Okay, so to summarize, that's the first part of the talk, is how attackers are going to attack AI systems. So now I wanted to also talk about the second part, which is how attackers are going to misuse AI. And so this really leads to the discussion, the question I posed at the beginning is how will frontier AI impact cybersecurity? And in particular, the challenge here is that the AI as a tool, as a technology, is dual use. So it can help both attackers and the defender side. So in order to better understand this question, analyze this question, we need to go through a number of steps. We need to know the enemy and understand the impact of misuse AI in attacks, and understand the asymmetry between defense and offense. And we need to understand the defense and the impact of AI in defenses. And finally, I will summarize and conclude with some lessons and predictions. So first, to know the enemy. So people here are familiar with security, and we know that the security is a really complex domain. There's a complex broad spectrum of different attacker incentives, different levels of attacker resources, complex attack stages, and broad attack domains and landscape. So for example, attackers have economic incentives, want to have political influence, nation state has the reasons for cyber warfare, and also there are others like surveillance for oppressing dissidents, cyberbullying, and even script kiddies just want fame. And the attackers can have very different levels of resources at nation state level, corporation level, organized crime, or individuals like script kiddie. And when we talk about how AI is going to change for the attacker side, essentially, AI can help all these different levels of attackers with different level of resources at different levels. But in general, it's to bring up the to make things easier for the attacks at all these different levels. And the attacks, there are complex pipelines of attacks, and there's vast attack landscape where ranging from network hosts and different types of applications and to the cyber physical systems. So cybersecurity is complex, has a complex landscape. So how is AI going to help on the attacker side? So AI can help attackers both to attack machines as well as attacking humans. So helping attackers to attack machines. So So our earlier work was the first to actually use deep learning approach to identify vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities in program binary code using program similarity detection on program binary code. And our work showed that this is really effective and was able to find vulnerabilities in real world code, critical vulnerabilities in real world code. And follow-up work, there's a lot of follow-up work on this as well. And today, this is the state-of-the-art approach in terms of detecting vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities in binary code. And also, so Josh has already talked about this. These are some similar studies by others as well, essentially illustrating that agents, they are not that good yet, but there's early signs showing that they can automatically attack certain websites, exploit one-day vulnerabilities, and so on. So on the other hand, AI can also help attackers. Actually, today that's even more ready on the social engineering side. And this actually is a huge issue in cybersecurity. So there's estimates showing that over 80% of attacks actually starts with social engineering. And it's widely recognized that the most common cyber threats facing businesses and individuals today is phishing. And so far, we have seen significant increase in phishing emails, and a lot of this is attributed to generative AI. So recent, there's a Hong Kong incident where a financial worker actually wires $25 million to the attacker because the financial worker was in a video call where essentially all the other participants, including his boss, like the CFO, were essentially deepfake. So it was basically in a video call set up by the attacker with all the deepfakes and caused the financial worker to wire the 25 million to the attacker. And attackers also are using GPT to develop automated tools. That's from GPT that attacker claims that it has all sorts of capabilities for sending out phishing emails at scale and others. And it actually claims to have over 3,000 confirmed sales already. And also there's personalized attacks, NCI using Gen AI. I'm running out of time. And misuse AI also has been one of the big issues is that really misuse AI can be used for large scale automated and targeted manipulation and for influencing, for example, election and so on. So this was 2016 election. This is a Cambridge Analytica. Back then, there's no sophisticated AI yet. But today, already we are seeing, for example, there's a deepfake voice cloning telling voters not to vote in the primary, mimicking Biden. And this will just continue to go on. So as a summary, as a consequence, the consequence of misuse AI in attacks is vast. So currently misused AI being used for voice cloning, spear phishing, disinformation, and so on. And misuse frontier AI essentially can help with all stages in attacks, and can automate large-scale attacks, help make attacks more evasive and stealthier, and can increase attacker capabilities and so on. So then one may ask, maybe we don't need to worry, given that yes, AI can help attackers, but AI can also help defenders. So for example, defenders can use AI to discover and fix bugs before attackers. So is this the case? So who is going to benefit more from AI? So unfortunately, I would argue that really frontier AI, they help attackers much more than defenders. So one, we know there's a symmetry between defense and offense. On the offense side, attackers only need to find one attack that works. And however, defenders, to be successful, they need to fix all bugs and prevent all attacks to succeed. And also, oftentimes, cost for a defense is much higher than attacks. So essentially, attackers, they can send these, for example, phishing emails at almost no cost, but actually to do the detection and including network attacks and so on, the cost for defenders is much higher than attacks. And also even worse, deploying defenses, even when the defense works, actually takes very, very long time, as we all know. Defenders need to develop fixes when bugs is found, and need to then do a lot of testing and then do deployment globally. So even today, a lot of legacy systems are still not patched. And also, attackers can learn about the vulnerability and generate exploits using publicly available information of patches. As soon as the patches roll out, we have seen in the real world, after even just 1 to 3 days, attackers already have an effective exploit and hence can exploit systems before the other systems actually get to be patched. So this really shows that attackers are on the upper hand with the help of AI. So now I'll just briefly talk about the defense side, then I'll wrap up, because this part actually is interesting and important. So when we look at defenses, so this actually summarizes the progression of my own career of approaches for software security over the last 25 years. And this is essentially how the overall security community has evolved, right? So in the beginning, we all focus on reactive defense. We detect, for example, network intrusions like worms, and then we try to defend again, we try to detect worm, detect malware, and so on. So this is what I call reactive defense. So you detect the attack and you try to block the attacks and so on. And then the next stage, we move to proactive defense. So by proactive defense, we try to do the defense before the worms or the malware even occurs. So in this case, for example, finding vulnerabilities in code and then fix them. So that's, I call bug finding for proactive defense. And then the last stage is actually what we really want is proactive defense by construction. Right. So basically, we want to take better, more secure architecture, language programming frameworks with better security support, such that we can build systems with essentially secure by construction with actually provable security guarantees. So now let's look at how AI is going to impact each one of these type of defenses. So first of all, reactive defense. So of course, a frontier AI can help improve attack detection and analysis. Some of our recent work actually used large language models to detect malicious transactions in blockchains that we were able to actually rank some of the real-world attack transactions to be the top anomalous attacks which have actually caused hundreds of millions of dollars of damage in real world. However, I argue that unfortunately there are actually many challenges in this type of defense. So attackers can also use AI to make attacks more evasive, and attack detection actually needs to have very low false positive and low false negative. And attack may happen too fast for effective defense. And hence, I argue here that for this type of defense, reactive defense, AI is going to help attackers more than defender in this type of network anomaly detection and this type of reactive defense. So now let's move to the second type of defense, proactive defense by bug finding. So again, like with AI, frontier AI can help us to do better fuzzing, vulnerability detection tools. However, here I argue that there are again many challenges with this type of defense. So bug finding tools can help both attackers and defenders. Again, as a symmetry that I mentioned earlier between attack and defense in bug finding, attackers only need to find one vulnerability to succeed, but defenders need to find and patch all vulnerabilities to prevent attacks. And it can cost a lot more to fix a bug and deploy the patch than finding a bug. And hence, I argue that for this type of defense, AI will also help the attackers more than defenders in bug finding. So what this leaves us, the only potential actually effective defense with frontier AI in this game is proactive defense with secure by construction. So secure by construction, as I mentioned, is an approach where we architect and build provably secure programs and systems. And again, there are many ways to do this, and an important approach is with the formal verification, where we can formally prove that the software system satisfies certain security properties. And this can be done at many different levels, design level, implementation level, and so on. And also, we actually have been very fortunate that this decade and the last decade has been the era of formally verified systems, where we actually have formally verified systems in many domains, including microkernels, compilers, security protocols, and so on. But however, one issue is that, so these systems unfortunately they are not really used in practice. And one main issue is that it's too, so for the formal verification, it requires large manual effort. So it's too labor intensive to do the formal verification, and oftentimes it takes tens of years, proof engineer years to do formal verification for one of these systems. And by the time you do the proof, the system already needs to evolve, and you have to redo the proof and so on. And hence, so one promising direction that I propose here is that we can actually use frontier AI to build these formally verifiable and provably secure systems. So essentially, we talk about agents. For example, AlphaGo, we have deep reinforcement learning agents to train them to learn to play Go, and then it just wins Go, right? But however, can we actually train better agents to do more useful things, in particular, for example, to do automatic theorem proving for program verification? So my group was one of the first to use deep learning for enhancing theorem proving that happened even before this wave of LM. And the hope is that with these frontier AI, it can make this actually finally possible. And then in this way, combining this with program synthesis, so Josh also talked about, currently the Copilot generates insecure code. And with this approach, our hope is to actually be able to synthesize secure code and provably secure code, where when we generate the code, we actually have a proof attached to the code to show that the code is satisfies certain security properties. So the approach, the advantage of this approach is that now we can use AI to help us both to generate code and proof. And this really reduces the arms race. Provably secure systems is actually the only way forward that can provide resilience against certain classes of attacks. And of course, this approach has many open challenges as well. So formal verification approach, so far it mainly applies to traditional symbolic programs. And it's actually very difficult to apply to non-symbolic programs, such as these deep learning models. First of all, we don't even have precisely specified properties and goals. So for example, if we want to say that the self-driving car should not run over a pedestrian, we don't even have a formal specification of what a pedestrian is. And also the formal verification techniques in general, we have not seen much success in applying to these large non-symbolic programs. However, future systems, they are going to be hybrid, and they are going to combine both symbolic and non-symbolic components. So how do we actually take this approach of formal verification and secure construction? It's still huge open challenge.
Hey, Tan, maybe you could do one more point and then let's
have lunch. And the final point. So the other side, so far I've talked about how we need to develop better defense systems to defend against attacks on machines. But I would say that actually the biggest, the weakest point is humans. And humans are the ones that cannot be upgraded. And hence I think, it's true, unfortunately. So that's, so here, actually it's very interesting. Many years ago, we had a project, this is way before LM. So the goal is that, and I think the only approach, effective approach going forward, is that we use AI to help humans. Because humans cannot be upgraded, we need AI assistance to intermediate. Basically, in the future, I do strongly believe that we are going to have AI assistance that's going to intermediate all communication between a person and the external world, either it's to other people or to other AI. And so actually, quite a few years ago, we had a project on using AI chatbots to do this, to help defend against social engineering attacks for humans. But that was long before LM. So with the development LM and so on, so we do hope that this can be an effective approach. And I think, again, like I said, I think this is the only way forward. And finally, super intelligence, I won't actually talk about it. This will just can lead to really catastrophic consequence in cybersecurity. So finally, maybe I'll just conclude with the lessons of prediction. So, so, so hopefully I have convinced you. I do strongly believe that the AI will help attackers much more at the beginning. Current systems are highly vulnerable and ill-prepared for AI-assisted attacks, and organizational systems often only spend efforts and resources after seeing attacks and damages. And as cost of attacks going down, we expect to see unprecedented increase in attacks. And for example, lessons we learned from spam and script kiddie, and we're already seeing increasing attacks. So the world was not prepared for the pandemic such as COVID, despite early warning. And I'm hugely concerned that this is where we are today. And attacks assisted with AI can be much worse than what we have seen in the pandemic. So I'll just finally conclude with one lesson that we have learned from the past, the lessons that we've learned from medical devices security. So my group was the first to do the study of medical device security analysis in the public literature, where we show that these medical devices, they have security vulnerabilities that can be exploited by attackers to cause huge harm. And back then, when we did the study in 2011, the FDA's approval process for medical devices did not have any mention of security recommendations. And only, so with our work and also follow-up work from the community, only 5 years later, FDA changed their approval process to require certain, to provide certain guidance and recommendation for the security aspects for medical device. So the lesson here is that the security space is hugely complex, and frontier AI will have huge impact in cybersecurity. It's going to cause significant increase in attacks, and in the near term, AI will help attackers much more. And also, the world is not ready, and the regulations are not prepared, and hence it's important to learn from the past lessons and act now. We need to build and deploy plans to improve security posture to get ready, and we need to build AI solutions and digital assistants to protect humans against AIs and bots, and we need to use AI to help us to build secure systems with provable guarantees. With that, thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
So just as we're already a bit into the lunch period, I think maybe I encourage you to stick around and ask Dawn questions or chase her down in the lunch area. But yeah, thank you.